ever discovered and show you what to look for before you spend your next 73
coin.
Abraham Lincoln
Let's get
1
started.
cent without a mint mark. While millions were produced for circulation, collectors know that condition, striking quality, unusual mint errors, and strong eye appeal can dramatically influence value. That is why every old penny deserves a closer look before it disappears into circulation forever. The 1973 Lincoln cent without a mint mark was struck at the Philadelphia Mint. During this period, Philadelphia cents did not carry a mint mark, making the absence of a mint mark completely normal. Even though these coins were produced in very large numbers, they remain popular because they represent an important chapter in the long-running Lincoln cent series that began in 1909. Many collectors enjoy building complete date and mint collections, and the 1973 issue is an essential part of that journey. Finding one today is not difficult. They still appear in old coin jars, estate collections, inherited albums,
and occasionally even in pocket change. Most examples, however, have spent decades in circulation. They have been carried in wallets, dropped on sidewalks, exposed to moisture, stored in basements, and forgotten inside old containers. Because of this, many surviving coins display scratches, discoloration, dark toning, stains, dirt, and even surface corrosion. A rusty-looking appearance is often caused by environmental damage rather than actual rust, since the coin is made primarily of copper. Collectors pay close attention to whether the surfaces are naturally aged or permanently damaged. The obverse of the coin features Victor David Brenner's famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln. Since its introduction in 1909, this portrait has become one of the most recognizable coin designs in American history. Lincoln faces to the right with the word Liberty positioned on the left side of the portrait. The date 1973 appears on the right side, while the national motto, "In God We Trust," curves along the top edge. Although the design remained unchanged for decades, collectors often inspect each detail carefully. A sharply struck beard, crisp hairlines, and bold lettering can make one example noticeably more attractive than another. Turning the coin over reveals the familiar Lincoln Memorial reverse designed by Frank Gasparo. The memorial occupies the center of the coin, with United States of America around the upper edge and 1 cent boldly displayed beneath the building. The motto, E Pluribus Unum, appears above the memorial. One fascinating detail is that Lincoln's tiny statue can actually be seen between the columns under magnification. This miniature feature has impressed collectors for generations because it demonstrates the remarkable craftsmanship involved in producing even a humble 1 cent coin. The Philadelphia Mint struck billions of Lincoln cents during the early 1970s to satisfy the country's demand for small change. Because production numbers were so high, ordinary circulated examples are generally worth only face value or a small premium. This reality surprises many people who hear sensational stories claiming that every old penny is worth thousands or even millions of dollars. Experienced collectors understand that rarity comes from exceptional preservation, authenticated mint errors, or other unusual characteristics rather than simply from age alone. Condition plays an enormous role in determining market value. A heavily circulated example with dark surfaces, worn lettering, and obvious environmental damage might sell for around 10 cents to $1 if someone simply wants a date filler. A cleaner circulated example with attractive brown color could bring a few dollars. Coins that retain original mint luster and have never entered circulation are considerably more desirable. Certified mint state examples with strong eye appeal may sell for tens or even hundreds of dollars depending on their grade and current market demand. Collectors also search carefully for legitimate mint errors. Off-center strikes are among the most popular because part of the design is missing while the date remains visible. Broad strikes occur when the retaining collar fails, allowing the coin to spread beyond its normal diameter. Die cracks can produce raised lines across the surface, while die breaks sometimes create unusual raised areas known as cuds. Double strikes, clipped planchets, and dramatic misalignments are all genuine mint-made errors that often command substantial premiums when authenticated. Another variety collectors hope to discover is a doubled die. On a true doubled die, parts of the lettering or date appear doubled because of the way the die itself was manufactured. Genuine doubled dies differ from common machine doubling, which usually carries little additional value. Specialists often use magnification to inspect the words "Liberty," "In God We Trust," and the date for signs of true hub doubling. Authentication by a respected grading service is important because many forms of damage can resemble doubling to an inexperienced eye. Surface quality is another factor that separates average coins from premium examples. Collectors prefer coins with minimal contact marks, original color, and pleasing overall appearance. Even a common date can become highly desirable if it survives in exceptional condition after decades of storage. Professional grading companies evaluate strike quality, luster, preservation, and eye appeal before assigning an official grade. That grade often has a significant impact on market value because buyers have greater confidence in independently certified coins. Many people mistake post-mint damage for valuable errors. Scratches caused by machinery, dents from everyday use, harsh cleaning, chemical exposure, and environmental corrosion generally reduce value instead of increasing it. A dirty or dark coin may appear unusual, but experienced collectors know that originality is far more important than artificial appearance. Cleaning a coin in hopes of making it look brighter often removes the natural surface and lowers its desirability. Auction records demonstrate how dramatically quality influences price. A typical circulated 1973 Philadelphia cent without a mint mark often sells for less than $1. Attractive uncirculated examples may reach values between $10 and $50 depending on grade. Exceptionally preserved certified pieces can sell for $78,000, while dramatic authenticated mint error examples occasionally realize much stronger prices because of their rarity and collector demand. Every sale depends on the specific characteristics of the individual coin rather than the date alone. If you own a 1973 Lincoln cent, start by examining the date, the lettering, and both sides under good lighting. Look for signs of unusual striking errors instead of ordinary wear. Compare the coin with photographs of authenticated examples, and if you believe you have discovered something significant, consider submitting it to a respected third-party grading service. Professional authentication provides confidence for both collectors and potential buyers. The popularity of Lincoln cents continues to grow because they are affordable, historically important, and enjoyable to search. Many collectors began their hobby by looking through pocket change, hoping to discover a hidden treasure among ordinary coins. That excitement still exists today. Even though most 1973 cents are common, every search teaches valuable lessons about minting, grading, and the fascinating history of American coinage. The realistic market value for a normal circulated 1973 Lincoln cent without a mint mark is often around $100,000 depending on its condition and buyer interest. However, authenticated mint errors or exceptionally high-grade certified examples can command significantly higher prices in specialized auctions. Knowing the difference between a common circulation coin and a genuinely collectible example is what separates experienced collectors from casual observers, and that knowledge is often the greatest treasure of all. Now let's turn our attention to another classic Lincoln cent that has captured the interest of collectors for generations: the 1934 Abraham Lincoln Wheat cent without a mint mark. At first glance, it may look like nothing more than an old brown penny that has spent decades in circulation. Many examples are found with worn details, faded lettering, and dark surfaces from years of handling. Yet this historic coin represents an important period in American history, and certain examples can attract impressive attention from collectors, especially when they are well-preserved or display genuine mint-made errors. The 1934 Lincoln Wheat cent without a mint mark was produced at the Philadelphia Mint. During this era, Philadelphia cents normally carried no mint mark, so the absence of a mint mark is exactly what collectors expect to see. The coin was struck during the Great Depression, a time when millions of Americans struggled financially. Although these cents were made in large numbers to support everyday commerce, they have survived as small reminders of one of the most challenging periods in United States history. Imagine this coin changing hands in 1934. It may have been used to buy a loaf of bread, a newspaper, or a cup of coffee. A single penny had much greater purchasing power than it does today. Every scratch and every worn detail tells a story of decades spent moving from one pocket to another. That rich history is one reason why Lincoln wheat cents continue to fascinate collectors around the world. The obverse features Victor David Brenner's famous portrait of Abraham Lincoln, introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Lincoln's birth. Above the portrait appears the national motto, "In God We Trust." The word liberty is positioned to the left, while the date 1934 appears on the right. Even on circulated examples, collectors carefully inspect the strength of Lincoln's beard, hair, bow tie, and coat, because these features help determine the amount of wear the coin has experienced over the years. The reverse displays the classic wheat cent design. Two wheat stalks frame the words 1 cent and United States of America, with E pluribus unum across the top. This reverse design remained in production until 1958 and has become one of the most beloved coin designs in American numismatic history. Many collectors say the wheat ears give the coin a timeless appearance that instantly distinguishes it from modern Lincoln cents. The Philadelphia Mint produced hundreds of millions of 1934 Lincoln wheat cents. Because the mintage was substantial, the date itself is not considered rare. However, finding attractive original examples becomes increasingly difficult because so many coins circulated heavily for decades. Coins that escaped heavy wear are much more desirable than those with flattened details or damaged surfaces. Most surviving examples are found in circulated condition. These coins usually show moderate to heavy wear, dark brown coloring, and numerous contact marks. While they remain popular with beginning collectors because they are affordable, experienced numismatists often search for examples with strong original detail, natural color, and minimal environmental damage. Even a common date wheat cent becomes more desirable when it has pleasing eye appeal. Collectors also search for genuine mint errors on 1934 Lincoln wheat cents. Off-center strikes are among the most dramatic because part of the design is missing, while enough of the date remains visible to identify the coin. Die cracks, die breaks, clipped planchets, broad strikes, and retained cuds are all legitimate mint-made errors that can command premiums over ordinary examples. Authentication is extremely important because post-mint damage is frequently mistaken for valuable errors. Another feature that attracts attention is repunched mint marks on branch mint coins, although the Philadelphia issue has no mint mark. Instead, collectors focus on die varieties, doubled die characteristics, and unusual striking anomalies. Under magnification, specialists inspect the date and lettering for signs of true hub doubling rather than machine doubling, which generally adds little value. Condition remains the single most important factor affecting value. A heavily worn 1934 Lincoln wheat cent without a mint mark commonly sells for around $100,000 or less, depending on its appearance and the current market. Coins with stronger detail and attractive natural surfaces may bring higher prices. Certified mint. State examples with original red color are considerably scarcer because very few survived without entering circulation. Professional grading services evaluate every important characteristic, including strike quality, luster, preservation, eye appeal, and originality. A certified high-grade example often attracts much stronger bidding than a raw coin because buyers have confidence in the assigned grade. Some premium mint state examples have realized $200,000 at auction, while exceptional error coins with strong collector demand can sell for significantly more. Each auction result depends on the specific coin rather than the date alone. One mistake many beginners make is cleaning old wheat cents. They believe removing dirt or dark toning will increase value, but the opposite is usually true. Harsh cleaning leaves fine scratches and removes the natural surface that collectors appreciate. Even if a coin appears dull, leaving it in its original state is almost always the better decision. Collector interest in Lincoln wheat cents continues to grow because they combine history, affordability, and the excitement of discovery. Many enthusiasts enjoy searching inherited collections, estate sales, bankrolls, and antique shops in hopes of finding overlooked treasures. Although most 1934 Philadelphia cents are common, the possibility of discovering an exceptional grade or authenticated mint error keeps collectors searching year after year. If you own a 1934 Lincoln wheat cent without a mint mark, examine it carefully under bright light. Look for unusual striking characteristics, original surfaces, and strong remaining detail. Compare your coin with certified examples, and if it appears to have a genuine mint error or unusually high quality, professional authentication may be worthwhile before offering it for sale. The 1934 Lincoln wheat cent reminds us that every old coin carries a story far beyond its face value. It survived the Great Depression, witnessed generations of American history, and continues to connect modern collectors with the past. While the average circulated example has a modest value of around 57,000, exceptional certified coins and authenticated mint error examples can command far higher prices in today's collector market. For that reason, every old wheat cent deserves a careful inspection before being overlooked, because sometimes the smallest details make the biggest difference. Next up, the fascinating 1900 United States Indian head 1 cent, a coin that represents the closing years of one of America's most beloved small cent designs. While most examples are common, certain outstanding pieces, dramatic error varieties, and exceptionally preserved coins have attracted impressive attention whenever they appear at major auctions. If you have an old Indian head cent tucked away in a collection, now is the perfect time to take a closer look, because even a heavily circulated example tells an important story about American history. The Indian head cent had already been circulating for more than 40 years by the time the year 1900 arrived. Americans used these coins every day to buy food, newspapers, train tickets, and countless household necessities. Each coin passed through hundreds of hands, quietly witnessing the rapid growth of the United States during the late 19th century. Railroads connected cities, factories expanded production, and millions of people carried Indian head cents in their pockets. Every worn coin surviving today is a small piece of that remarkable history. The obverse features the famous portrait designed by James Barton Longacre. Although many people believe the portrait represents a Native American woman, it is actually Lady Liberty wearing a traditional feathered headdress. Around the rim appears the word Liberty, incorporated into the headband, while the date, 1900, is displayed below the portrait. Collectors often examine every detail of this design, especially the letters in Liberty. On well-preserved coins, every letter should remain visible. As circulation increases, these letters gradually disappear, making them one of the first grading points professionals inspect. The reverse displays a simple yet elegant wreath surrounding the denomination 1 cent. At the top of the wreath appears a Union shield, symbolizing national unity after the Civil War. The entire design is balanced beautifully, giving the coin a timeless appearance that has made it a favorite among collectors for generations. Even today, many hobbyists consider the Indian head cent one of the most attractive small coins ever produced by the United States Mint. One interesting fact about the 1900 Indian head cent is that it carries no mint mark. Every regular circulation strike was produced at the Philadelphia Mint, and during this period, Philadelphia did not place mint marks on 1 cent coins. New collectors sometimes believe a missing mint mark indicates a valuable error, but in this case, the absence of a mint mark is completely normal and historically correct. During 1900, the Philadelphia Mint struck more than 66 million Indian head cents. That sounds like an enormous number, and it certainly was. However, millions of those coins entered daily circulation immediately and experienced years of heavy use. Countless examples were eventually lost, melted, damaged, or discarded. Others developed corrosion after being buried in the ground or stored in damp environments for decades. As a result, attractive original examples are becoming increasingly difficult to locate. Many collectors are surprised to learn that a rusty-looking or dark brown Indian head cent is not automatically worthless. Copper changes color naturally over time. Depending on storage conditions, a coin may develop rich chocolate brown surfaces, deep mahogany shades, or nearly black toning. Natural aging often appeals to collectors because it shows the coin has not been harshly cleaned. In contrast, an improperly cleaned coin may appear unnaturally bright while actually losing collector value. Imagine discovering a 1900 Indian head cent inside an old wooden box inherited from a grandparent. The coin may look dirty and heavily worn, yet beneath that aged appearance could be original surfaces untouched for decades. Experienced collectors frequently prefer honest wear over artificial polishing because originality is one of the most respected qualities in numismatics. Condition remains one of the biggest factors influencing value. A heavily circulated example with significant wear generally sells for around $600,000, especially if the surfaces remain problem-free and the date is clear. Better preserved examples showing stronger details often command $569,000 coins graded extremely fine or about uncirculated, may bring several $100s depending on eye appeal. High-grade mint state examples certified by professional grading services can realize several $1,000s at auction, especially those displaying full original mint luster and exceptional strike quality. Collectors also pay close attention to color designations assigned by grading companies. Copper coins are frequently classified as brown, red-brown, or red. Brown coins have naturally toned over time, while red examples retain much of their original mint color and are significantly scarcer after more than a century. Because so few 1900 Indian head cents survived with brilliant original red surfaces, these coins often achieve remarkable auction prices. Another fascinating aspect involves die varieties. During the manufacturing process, steel dies occasionally developed imperfections or received slight differences during preparation. These variations created collectible die varieties that specialists eagerly search for today. Although not every variety commands enormous premiums, certain doubled design elements, repunched digits, or unusual die characteristics attract considerable interest within the collecting community. Error coins represent another exciting area of the hobby. Genuine mint errors occur during production rather than after a coin leaves the mint. Examples include off-center strikes, broad strikes, clipped planchets, die cracks, die cuds, and dramatic strike-through errors. Because authentic mint errors are much scarcer than ordinary circulation coins, collectors often pay substantial premiums when certified examples appear for sale. It is equally important to distinguish true mint errors from ordinary damage. Rust, scratches, dents, corrosion, environmental exposure, or post-mint alterations do not create valuable errors. Many online listings incorrectly advertise damaged coins as rare mint mistakes. Knowledgeable collectors always rely on careful examination and, when necessary, professional authentication before paying premium prices. One feature experts always inspect is the word "Liberty" on the headband. Even on circulated coins, partial letters can significantly influence grading. Strong feather details, clear diamonds in the ribbon, and defined curls within Liberty's hair also contribute to higher grades. On the reverse, collectors examine the wreath leaves, oak acorns, ribbon details, and the sharpness of the Union shield above 1 cent. Every tiny design element helps determine the coin's overall quality. Auction houses regularly emphasize originality when describing desirable Indian head cents.
A coin that has spent decades quietly resting inside an old collection often retains surfaces that experienced buyers immediately recognize. Natural toning, even if dark or uneven, frequently inspires greater confidence than surfaces showing evidence of harsh cleaning or polishing. As a result, two coins with similar wear may sell for dramatically different prices simply because one remains original while the other has been improperly cleaned. The popularity of Indian head cents extends far beyond the United States. Collectors around the world appreciate their classic American design, historical significance, and connection to a transformative period in U.S. history. Many international buyers actively compete for premium certified examples, adding additional demand whenever exceptional coins reach the auction market. Every surviving 1900 Indian head cent has traveled an incredible journey through time. It may have passed through the hands of shopkeepers, railroad workers, farmers, teachers, soldiers, and families more than a century ago. That remarkable history is one reason collectors continue searching for these coins today, proving that even a small copper cent can preserve an unforgettable piece of America's past. The next coin takes us into a completely different era of American history, but it is every bit as interesting to collectors. The 1952 D. Abraham Lincoln Wheat 1 cent was struck during the final decade of the famous Wheat cent series, a design that had already become one of the most recognized coins in the United States. Millions of Americans carried these pennies every day, often without giving them a second thought. Today, however, collectors carefully inspect every 1952 D cent they find because condition, original surfaces, and genuine mint errors can make a tremendous difference in value. When this coin was released, The United States was experiencing rapid economic growth after World War II. New neighborhoods were being built across the country, families were purchasing automobiles in record numbers, and businesses were expanding. During this exciting period, the Lincoln wheat cent remained the most common coin in circulation. Children saved them in piggy banks, merchants handed them out as change, and banks distributed thousands of rolls every week. The Lincoln cent was first introduced in 1909 to celebrate the 100th anniversary of Abraham Lincoln's birth. It became the first regular United States coin to feature the portrait of a real historical figure instead of the traditional image of liberty. The design was created by sculptor Victor